Well, I have several favorite memories. One of them, and I think this is very significant because it speaks about the quality of the faculty at the time. And this was in the early 70s, maybe before 75, I'm not sure. But Sister Miriam Teresa O'Donnell was the president at the time, and Misericordia was going to a lot of financial straits at the time. And I can remember being at a faculty meeting, and she asked the faculty if they would be willing to forego a pay raise for that year. 100% agreement. Yes. And one faculty member that I know of, there might have been others, went without pay for the year. Now you talk about Misericordia spirit. I was amazed. I mean, she didn't have one bit of opposition. Everybody just wanted the good of the students and whatever Misericordia, and they were willing to make the sacrifices for it. So other things that stand out for me was, and these are, there was such a good feeling among the faculty, how we related with one another, the camaraderie that we had with one another. And that didn't mean we agreed, quite the opposite. We didn't always agree on many things, but overall, it was what was for the best of the student. I mean, that was always the focal point. When I look back on it, I couldn't believe all the evolution that was happening while I was there. First of all was the computer. We got the computer, we introduced the computer science major. That was a biggie. I realize how big it was now. If I say to somebody, yeah, when I went there were no computers. They were just not in existence. Now we couldn't live without them. In 1984, I must have been chair because we had, before the students came in, and I imagine you have something like this today, the freshman orientation, where the students at one point during the orientation would meet with the chair of the department that they were in. And I remember walking into, it was on the 3rd floor, we used to call it the fishbowl, I don't know if it's still there. But anyway, I remember walking into the students that were going to be the new freshmen, and I noticed these 3 dark-skinned people in the room, and that was brand new at Misericordia. I mean, it was all white. It was white. And here were these 3 dark-skinned people sitting there. And so anyway, went through all the stuff that I had to go through and then had them introduce or something. I don't know. But anyway, they were from Guyana. It was Nigel Fungapat and Richard Brassington and Nigel's father, who had come with them from Guyana. And talk about a total culture change within the department, within the college. They were remarkable. And then after them came the rest of their families, the rest of the boys in the Fungapat family and the other boys and the one girl in the Brassington family. And they, to this day, speak so highly of Misericordia. And I know that Richard Brassington was on the board for years and years and years. And there might be, I was going to look up the board, there might be one of them, either Fungapat or Brassington on the board now. I'm not sure. But they were brilliant. And I said to them one day, I said, how did you become so studious and so into studies? And they said, well, in Guyana, you had 2 choices. You either worked in the fields or you studied. I said, well, that's a big change from the American way of life, you know? And so they were known throughout campus. Talk about service. No matter what was going on the campus, you would find one of them right in the middle of it, doing whatever. It didn't matter what it was. So that was a brand new experience for faculty as well as for students. Misericordia opened its doors, its dorms, its everything to the people from the valley. Now, because I was part of the valley, I was at home at my mother's house doing flood cleanup there. But Misericordia just opened. In fact, my brother's house was underwater for 21 days. And for a while, he was part of the boat crew that went out rescuing people. But his family stayed at Misericordia for 1 or 2 nights, and then they moved to relatives. So that hospitality that was then is still now. You always feel welcome there. And I guess it's that devotion that is beyond Misericordia. It's not that we have these values and they're all locked into the campus of Misericordia. It was that Agnes flood. I can remember during my tenure going over to the, I think it was the St. Vincent de Paul food kitchen and serving people there. Students would be there. Their mission to Guyana. Their mission to other places in the States, the United States that needed help. To Mercy Center, to what you do when you come down to the Pines, at the spring cleanup. So that whole concept, these values that are on a piece of paper are lived. They're made human through the people that are educated or are the educators at Misericordia or on the staff at any level on the staff of Misericordia. Yeah, that spirit